viewers, isn't it?
Yeah. And Marion, welcome. If you click on the chat icon, you will be able to see messages in there, and you can also type us a message. We don't have video working, sound working today for our attendees, just for the purposes of getting through everything. But we'd love to hear a message from you in the chat room, in the chat space. We can see up here.
Mm-hmm.
So then I guess the question is how long to wait.
Oh no, we'll just start straight on and then they can catch up. Is that right, Joe? I think
so. Hi, Wes.
Did you hear that Philippa told my inner critic to shut up?
Did you see the video?
We just did a live and I was like, wah, wah, wah. And she went, shut up. It was so good.
What happened just before we clicked in?
Kaio. When
you said, oh, you forgot Kaio's birthday.
Kaio's birthday.
And what did you say?
I just went on this rant, like,
you said,
oh God,
I'm so crap.
Birthdays, I'm just a crap auntie. And I was like we're sitting here talking about inner critic and I had no awareness of it at all. Like it just started blabbing out and Philippa was quick to just like laugh. But like it was just so habitual, especially around a birthday. Oh God, I'm an idiot. I forgot.
Really?
Yeah, because I felt like socially guilty as well in front of you. Like it was like saying that in front of you was kind of my way of apologizing.
Yeah. But the flip side of that is it also means how much it matters to you to make people feel special.
Yeah.
And remember them on their birthday.
I love how you reframe things. You always make me feel better. All right.
So it's 11 o'clock. We've got 32 people registered. However, we only just discovered that the system wasn't set up to send out an email reminder. So we might just, should we start?
Yeah.
I'd still love to hear a message from Marion. So Marion, if you see the little chat icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen, hopefully you can type a little message in there. I'm just typing to you now. It could also be that lots of people are just going to get the recording later.
Right. I think that's probably the main thing for people.
Hi, Marion. Good, she's here. All right. Well, for our special 3 out of 32 attendees, let's get started. Okay. So we wanted to start off with why we're here. And I think we both agree that our why is shared in that we've both been through a lot in the last 5 years. And we want to share with other people the tools that we've learnt and developed and practiced and continue to practice that have helped us to cope with these life challenges. So just going into that, then we'll share a little bit about the challenges we faced. But I just want to start with a bit of my background. I've been an educator for 30 years, mainly in English language teaching in Japan and Australia and online, so people from all over the world, all cultures, and from probably 2-year-olds to 85 or 87, I think was my oldest student. Small groups, one-on-ones, 100 people. So I've had a lot of experience presenting and educating and training. And what I have found throughout that whole career in teaching was that connection is the foundation of everything. So when my own life came to a kind of a crisis point after the birth of my second child, just all the pressures of life and mortgage and marriage and family things, and I found that I really needed to start to develop some coping tools. And it started with communication. So I started studying nonviolent communication about 7 years ago, and I'm now an internationally certified trainer in nonviolent communication, which is also known as compassionate communication. And basically, it's about connection. So that's my kind of main river. And then I study a lot of other modalities that then feed and enrich that experience of how I deliver and how I share compassionate communication. And one of the big impacts for me was studying compassion focused therapy with Professor Paul Gilbert from England. And this is the process that we're going to be sharing with you today, is the inner critic process. I grew up in quite a toxic, abusive, blended family environment. And so when I first went in to meet my inner critic, really what I met was an internalized abuser. So that's just a little disclaimer about today, that you have to really go at your own pace and just to what's comfortable for you. And so that if you do this process for yourself or with a friend, you just need to go gently to where you feel comfortable. So when I was able to go in and meet the inner critic, it was so transformative. And a few years ago, maybe 4, I started to share this with Meg, and we started really exploring the ideas around how do we become our own kind of best friend rather than a critic. So Meg and I both gone through the deaths of our husbands. So both Baz and Koske had cancer. Meg went through that about 4 years ago, so she's been 5 years ago. So she's really been my wilderness guide in the last 18 months as I've gone through caring for my husband and his dying and death process and the grieving and other challenges too. We've both lost parents in the last few years and other things.
So many speed bumps.
Over to you. That's right, the speed bumps of life. So just to sort of round that up, basically my passion is now that I just really want to show up in my life. I feel like I've been catapulted into a whole new life. And connection is where it's all at. You know, we're humans, we're here, this is what we're here for. And so I just really want to focus on living to my fullest potential and supporting my friends and loved ones and community friends around the world to do the same, because I just think life is so much better when we're in it together.
It is. It's been, you know, such a pleasure and so much admiration to be sitting in I've called it the front row of Philippa's life. And there's always been, you know, in amongst the challenge, the ability to reframe things and see things in a compassionate way, but with some framework so that I can keep myself safe from my own inner critic, because it's been pretty harsh too. And a big motivator. Like it's been this constant, you know, noise in my head, and so bringing it in and making it more of a friend was really you saying, let's just shine a light on this shadow and you know, just lean into it. And I was like, okay, far out. Like I felt so much resistance, but I also was really motivated by my own burnout experience and just knowing that if I don't change something, I'm screwed. Like I really have to make some big shifts here to support myself and to be a good role model for my son. You know, that's a big motivator for me to do this work. I guess it does feel like work sometimes, but it's actually easier than resisting it and pretending it's not there. So every time you come to me with do you want to be a guinea pig for this or try this, I'm like, okay. Yeah, I feel really trusting in this process, and yeah, I know it's profound.
Yeah, and your sort of passion and message through your company, Evoe, is really self-care, self-nurturing for women in particular.
Yeah, I want to be, you know, when you think of self-care, I want people to think of Evoe in that way, that it's really a practice of loving yourself and nurturing yourself from the outside in, and this work feels like the inside out.
Yeah, that's where we, I guess that's where we've kind of, you've kind of been going outside in and I've been going inside out. And now we've gone, oh yeah.
Let's meet in the middle.
Sure.
Let's do a webinar.
Great.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do today is a process called transforming the inner critic. Welcome, Natalie. That's my old high school friend. You can open your chat window if you like, and you're all welcome to write messages in the chat space. So as I said before, I did some studies with Professor Paul Gilbert from England. He was a very well-known psychologist and in using mostly cognitive behavioral therapy. And then people started referring really difficult cases to him. Hi, Natalie. And what he found was that the sort of rational cognitive understanding of trying to make sense of their lives wasn't really helping them to get past their blocks. And so one day he just had this realization and said, well, how does the voice inside your head sound? Because the person was saying to him, well, look, I understand I haven't been a failure. Of course, I know that rationally, but I still feel like a failure. And he said, how does the voice inside your head talk to you? And the person demonstrated this really harsh, critical voice, like you know, swearing, you idiot. Of course you've been successful. Look at that. You're such an idiot. What, you know, just get over yourself. And he realized that this is where it starts. And therefore, how can we be kinder to ourselves, and what are our attachments? Because we're can be quite attached to our inner critic. So we're going to explore that a little bit. So what I would just want to start with is a little experiment that I would invite you all to join in as well. And that's just to sort of connect with the feeling of kindness. So Meg, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, and everyone, you can either keep watching or close your eyes and just start breathing. So the key is really getting into the body. That can be a little challenging for people. So sometimes holding something tactile, like, you know, like a furry tennis ball or something like that, just to help ease into the body if you're not used to doing that. And then just take some breaths. So feeling the chair that you're sitting on, knowing that the chair is sitting on the floor. The floor is in your house, the building that you're in, it's anchored into the ground. You've got all of this support underneath you. You've got all the air around you, the spaciousness of the sky above the building that you're in. So you're really well protected and safe. And just take your attention into your feet, into your left toes. And just wiggle your toes. And take your attention into your right foot and into your right toes. Wiggle your toes. Take your attention into your lower belly. And just notice, is it clenched? And just unclench. Into your shoulders and neck, are you holding any tension there? And now into your face. So keeping your eyes closed and just feeling, just exploring around inside your face. Relaxing any muscles. We're just going to do a little experiment between what does neutral face feel like. If you just make your face completely relaxed. And then what might kindness feel like in your face? So if you just sort of connect with the quality of kindness, can you shine kindness through your eyes? Is it kind of warmth or light? Maybe your mouth is just slightly smiling, like a little Buddha smile. Maybe there's a sort of a little bit of a lift in your cheeks. What does kindness actually feel like? And then go back to neutral face. And then kind face. So you can do the same with your voice. And maybe just do the voice inside your head. Don't verbalize unless you're at home alone and you want to try it out. So just you can say your own name with a neutral voice. So if I was going to demonstrate that, I'd say Philippa, Philippa. And then what does a kind voice sound like? How can you say your name in a kind way? Philippa, Philippa. So just experiment with that voice inside your head, neutral voice and kind voice. Okay. You love that. Do you want to just share a little bit about that?
Oh, just often when I say my name, Megan, I've got all this like feel judgment around my name for some reason, and to say Megan, like with the kind lilt, it's like such a difference.
Yeah. You can also do it with yes and no, like even just experimenting. Like, we'll just do this now a little bit. We'll start with no. So just feel, if you close your eyes again, just feel how no feels in your body. No.
No.
So just feel it. Just listen and feel it. That's all right. No. 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 Keep your eyes closed. All right. Yes. 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 Do you feel a difference?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So with no, how would you describe the experience in your body?
A bit jarring, a bit like rejected, or like that kind of feeling.
Yeah, pulling back, so kind of a contracting. What about yes?
Yeah, relaxing.
Like you yawn, so your nervous system's relaxing.
Oh, she said yes.
So basically, words have energy, and this is part of changing the voice inside your head and how you talk to yourself. So we're going to go into the inner critic now. And basically, this is just the voice that's been internalized from all the people in your childhood who spoke to you harshly. Maybe it was parents, maybe it was teachers, maybe it was other students at school.
Yeah.
Just whoever was harsh, this is what we internalize as sort of the normal way to speak to ourselves. And certainly the family that I grew up in, that was a big, there was sweet as well, so we had both, but it was a lot of a lot of criticism. However, interestingly, we're all quite attached to our inner critics.
It's been a comrade for a long time.
That's right. So imagine I had a little zapper and I could just go, no more inner critic, gone. What would be your greatest fear in letting it go?
Good question. I think I'd fear not being on track, and like it holds me accountable, it keeps me steady, it keeps me safe. I'd worry that I'd lose my faculties.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Yeah. So it's like it's the drive. It's
the
motivator.
Yeah.
So we have three particular systems or main systems in our body or our psychology. One is our drive system. It's sort of the excitement, the motivation, the energy. Another one is our calming, soothing system. And then we have our threat system. And so for a lot of people, particularly people with a strong inner critic, the threat system is larger. So you could even do this as an experiment with yourself of three circles and just try and work out which ones, what the sizes are in your life. So particularly for me, the threat was the biggest one, and it's taken me a long time to try and get more balance. I mean, we need our threat system to protect us in danger.
What's the other one again?
The drive, sort of excitement, the
like motivate, like inspired.
Yeah, inspiration and drive. And then there's calming and soothing.
Right. Yeah, that doesn't motivate me very much.
Right. You think it does.
It does, I guess.
So the fear is if I get rid of my inner critic.
Yeah. I'll just be a blob.
I'll give up.
Yeah.
I won't have any motivation. I'll be apathetic. I won't be able to get stuff done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'd like you to do now is just close your eyes. And we're just going to see if there's a kind of like an image that comes to mind, and we're going to connect it to a situation. So think of something that you have been self-critical about recently.
Oh my God, there's so much.
And I'd invite you all to do the same. Something that you've been self-critical about that's triggered self-criticism.
Something specific.
Yes, yeah. A specific moment when you felt really self-critical, and probably what's most alive right now. So whatever jumps to mind.
There's that, I always have this feeling like it's here, and it's like this scratchy, staticky, like, who are you to think you can write a book? And
Okay, so let's start with the situation. So the situation is Meg has just written a book.
yeah.
And
Well, not, it was ages ago.
Well, you've been preparing to launch your book. Meg's
and
preparing.
I've been holding back.
Because of your fear of launching it into the world.
I guess so, yeah.
And so there's an inner critical voice around, okay. So do you have a sense of what that looks like, that inner critic? Is there an image that springs to mind? You said something by your right ear.
Yeah, it's like I often have this as like on a graph, like those
the jaggedy lines.
Yeah, jaggedy lines.
Right.
Yeah. In sort of like a speech bubble almost. Like a bit lightning.
Okay. Is it solid or is it lots of lines?
Yeah. It's like one solid clump, and then it's sort of pulsing like
a static storm.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's by your right ear.
Yeah.
So then what is it actually saying to you? What are the words? The one thing that you said is, who are you to think you can write a book?
Yeah.
What else?
What if no one reads it? What if no one likes it? What if lots of what ifs?
So, and maybe the really critical self might be going, no one's going to read it. Who wants to read your book?
Yeah, okay.
Like if you really put, really.
Yeah, it's just shit, really. That's all, like, it's just shit.
As in it's nothing, it's not valuable.
Yeah, it's just like, why would you bother? Like, you're wasting your time.
You're wasting your time.
Who are you? It's like, just get a job.
Okay.
It's so nice.
Get a job. So what does it feel about you? What are its feelings towards you?
It's like a disdain. Is that a word? Like just
almost contemptuous?
Yeah, just like, it sort of reminds me of like the posh people at school who I just felt like I was never
good
on
enough.
that level, and it's just like, like, yeah, what's that? A bit,
looking down on
you.
A bit of disgust.
Yeah, if it got down to the nitty gritty, it's like I can feel it in my face. Like
which also is where you experienced saying your name was around the same area.
In my, like, if I'm going to say something and put something forward, it's just like, oh no.
Yeah. And what does it want to do to you? What actions?
Oh.
Like if you just feel into that clump by your right ear, what is it actually wanting to do to you?
Just shut up. Just
shut you down.
Yeah, just shut your mouth.
Right, so hence the mouth.
It's a lot, isn't it?
Shut your mouth.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Just, and I can see it with my son, and just like, shh, just shush. Like I think that was said to me a lot.
Right, so kind of shutting down. So how are you feeling right now? Like connecting with that inner critic and the way that it talks to you, feels about you, wants to do you. How are you feeling?
I feel a bit pissed off. Like I want to say, shut up back. Like just you be quiet yourself. Yeah. Like I want to stand up for myself, and yeah.
kind of fight back.
Fight it a bit, yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
Like a bit rebellious.
Yeah. Okay.
But also scared. Like
Scared.
I was thinking about, maybe I should shut up because it's scary to say what I want to say.
In your book.
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe it's right. I should just be quiet.
Mm. So it's also you feel quite vulnerable and exposed in a way.
Well, yeah, like it's trying to protect me from being
Exposed.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay. So do you want to open your eyes? Good. Yeah. So then that's the inner critic, and everyone's inner critic looks different and it could be different each time. Mine was like an invisibility cloak. So if I just become invisible, then I'll be safe and protected.
Mm.
So what we want to do now is connect to a compassionate image. So again, just close your eyes. You may not get a visual, by the way. Not everybody is visual. If you just get like a felt sense in the body, and really focusing in on the sensations in your body is a good way to do it. So hence, does it have a shape? Does it have a color? Is it solid? Is there texture? So the same with compassionate image. And you can either draw on experiences in your life when you have experienced kindness. For some people, who've had really tough lives, that could come down to an animal or a pet even. It could be a religious icon if you come from that background, a saint, or it could be like for me, it was my nana from my childhood. So if you just can bring some kind of image to mind that would help you connect with compassion and kindness. Does anything come to mind?
Well, I always think of my grandma.
Okay.
But this time I feel like I got a bit more visual around like this cornflower blue dress that she used to wear and her dressing table and how often I would sit at her dressing table and she'd let me like go through her drawers and stuff. I was just so stoked. And I'd look in the mirror and I'd play, dress ups and put powder on and she never got cranky at me for doing that.
And she didn't shut you down.
No.
Yeah.
I forgot that. Like it was the first thing I thought of when I closed my eyes was that dressing table. Yeah.
So what does this part of you wish for you, want to help you with? So here she is, letting you play with all the things in her dressing table. She's not shutting you down. What does she want to help you with?
Oh, I'm allowed. Like I'm allowed to speak and be heard and be seen.
Kind of the freedom to express yourself.
Yeah, and what's the word? Permission. Like, because I saw her as an authority, so like having her permission feels just like a big relief.
You have the permission to be you.
Yeah.
So she looks like your grandma in the cornflower blue dress, the dressing table. What's she actually saying to you?
Just then I thought this really practical, like she was pretty straight as well, and she said, "You're not going to die from telling this story. Like it's not going to kill you.
Right.
Like literally, you won't die from sharing." So like, how hard can it be? Just it's okay. Yeah.
So it's okay to be you.
Yeah.
Just be yourself. Yeah. Tell your story.
Yeah. It's not gonna kill you.
What does she feel for you? What does this compassionate image feel for you?
It feels a bit excited.
She feels excited
Yeah.
because you're stepping out and you're going to tell
Yeah.
your story.
Yeah, just a bit like
Yeah, cheering you on.
yeah, a bit like a cheerleader more than
So fully supportive,
yeah,
accepting,
yeah.
loving.
I can do no wrong
You
in
can
her
do
eyes.
no wrong.
She would always say that.
And physically, what does she want to do for you?
Well, it's that squeeze from behind, like at the dresser, like she'd come in and squeeze me. I wish I had a photo of that. Like I can just imagine her coming in from behind and giving me a cuddle.
And you just gestured to your left ear. Isn't that interesting? Whereas the critic is on your right side. So how do you feel now?
Well, more in that quadrant of like excited to take action. Yeah, rather than.
So you've sort of through the self-soothing, now you feel like your drive, your motivated, excited drive system
I feel a
is
bit
activated.
excited. Yeah.
Because the threat system's been reduced.
Yeah, and I'm allowed. Like,
yeah. Good. Okay. Well done. So,
yeah.
So what I'd like you to do is imagine you have a child and you're taking your child for the first time to go to school, and you go to the first school. And it's big and dark and gloomy, and there's a big creaky rusty gate and this really stern, the principal comes to this gate and lets you in and is very stern and cold and hard and sort of looks down his or her nose at your child. Says, okay, I'll take you on a tour of the school, and you go around and all the children are obediently in rows at their little desks and everyone's quiet and the teacher's very strict at the front of the room. And the principal explains to you, we're really hard, strict with our students here. We don't let them get away with anything. We just keep them doing exactly what they have to do, and this is how we succeed. This is the school of conformity and getting it done and being pushed to do your absolute best, and we have strict punishments here. Okay, so you go to the second school, and this beautiful, soft, loving, kind person with twinkly eyes, welcomes you through the gate. And there's a beautiful garden, and you get the picture. And all the children are running and playing happily, and this principal says we raise our students with love, and we find that we encourage them to do their very best and to be kind to each other and to find their own unique gifts to deliver to the world, and this is what we're all about. Which school do you choose for your child?
The latter.
Yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer. So if this is what you would choose for your child,
yeah, I hear you.
Doesn't it then make sense that this is also what's going to work for you? That you've got much more chance of really getting your book out there into the world with that loving, kind, supportive grandma.
Yeah, I've just never done anything like that.
Yeah. Because we're trained into being so attached to the critic, and we think that we're not going to get out of bed unless that voice is going, come on, get out of bed, you lazy shit.
Yeah, like that first school.
Yeah. So we're so conditioned into criticism and negativity and seeing each other's faults, where it's so clear now. The evidence is out there, like it's irrefutable that people are much more able to be the best versions of themselves with positive encouragement and love and kindness.
And probably less energy it would take as well.
Yeah.
When I think about how little energy I've got in a day, it's like, do I really want to spend it on that?
Yeah. And it does. It takes a lot of energy to have that sort of the guard there constantly they're trying to keep you safe. Like they have in some ways your best interests at heart. They're not trying to break you down. They're trying to keep you safe.
Yeah.
But they're actually holding you back from really showing up in your life and being the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
Offering your unique gift to the world.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's the process, is kind of going through that and just really starting to notice. The first step is awareness, and it's not we both still have an inner critic, but the more awareness you have, the more that you can pull yourself up. Like as soon as you said, when you realized you'd forgotten or hadn't Kaya's birthday, and you went, I'm so crap at that, and I went, it's like noticing. And I really changed the way that I talk to myself. And it's just about slowing down and taking a breath.
And there's different flavors of critic as well. Like that one with Kaya was like a bit more socially acceptable. When you chastise yourself in front of a friend for forgetting something.
Yeah.
It's sort of quite socially normal.
Yeah.
And then that one that I just did around my work, then the one we did the other day.
Around parenting.
And when I thought of my grandma there, I was really in the soft soothing, like I got the soothing from her and I felt quite emotional. But this time I felt more of the inspired, excited. Yeah, so the compassion feels like it's different as well.
Right, it can take on different qualities.
Yeah, which I didn't realise.
Yeah.
That's good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about launching your book into the world now?
Excited. At least I know you'll read it, love.
Great. Hello, Anthea. Okay, so what we would like to do is invite.
I'll read it.
So there's I don't know how familiar you all are with Zoom, but if you hover over the bottom of your Zoom screen, there's a chat box, and you are welcome to type any questions or comments into the chat space. We also are finding that the more awareness you have around your emotions, it seems to be whatever modality I'm studying, it's around being able to own your feelings and express your feelings and connect with what you're needing
in the moment. Yeah, okay.
That it's the needs that drive behavior. So for example, your fear around your book, it's perhaps a need for acceptance and to be seen, and also because that message matters so much to you, but it's you really wanting to share this with the world and really wanting it to be received and understood. So connecting with needs and just basically connecting with your emotions and feelings.
And I think when you said, how was I feeling towards my inner critic, I was a bit like rebellious and a bit angry, but underneath that again was another layer of fear. So it's sort of like I can see how I sometimes trick myself to use anger as a way to get motivated and get stuff done as well.
And yes, and then a final piece with that is actually going in with compassion and seeing what's behind that.
Behind the
storm.
Behind the anger.
The inner critic.
Yeah.
What's inside
the
inner critic?
Is it fear?
Well, there might. Do you want to have a little look now and see if anything comes up?
I don't know.
It may not be.
Yeah.
Just have a little. So if you just take a breath. And you draw on the image of your grandmother in your blue, in her cornflower blue dress, and she's with you. And can you see the sort of static storm, the clump storm of the inner critic? And just turn towards it and just looking at it with compassion and curiosity. So it could connect with a memory. Where is it coming from?
I feel like I'm just kind of going back and forward a bit, but not really. Like it just feels like under my skin, I'm not good enough. Like a sadness around that.
a sadness around I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
It's right. It's
Like
gone,
it's
wormed its
weaved.
way
Yeah, it's like it's weaved all the way through.
right throughout your body.
Yeah, and right throughout. If I try and think of myself as a little girl, like I can just feel it. Like I think of Willem's age, 3.5 even. It's like, oh, did I think I wasn't good enough then even?
Mm. So it's almost like a sort of a matted web of
Yeah.
vines of shame all the way through your
Yeah,
body.
like under my skin, just never.
Mm. What if you were to try and pull one of those ropes?
Like,
Unraveling.
yeah, I'd want to go and have a good scrub.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's like a residue.
Pull it all out.
Mm.
And the static sort of storm by your ear.
That's slowed down a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's almost like that's wanting, it's loud and external because it's wanting you to actually connect with the mat through your body.
Yeah, it makes me think, oh, what's my body holding on to?
Mm. Okay. So that's probably something that you can explore in your meditation and start to just work with it. And it could be that those cords or ropes or vines or whatever are connected to something.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. It's like that somatic thing that we talk about.
Yeah. So if you sort of start this unraveling, it might actually lead somewhere.
Yeah. Okay.
So for me, with the invisibility cloak, when I went towards it and pulled it up and looked underneath, it was a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
The 4-year-old me. So that was around the time that my dad remarried, and this very angry, kind of suffering, hurting stepmother came into my life. And yeah, so it was sort of stay small, stay safe, be invisible, don't be seen. When I looked underneath, I found.
Right, that's why you were trying to get me there. Yeah, so you get quite tangible.
Yeah, because then I could sort of invite her to come with me and come with the compassionate self and, go into my heart and be safe, that she didn't need to stay small and invisible anymore, that she could show up in the world and be herself.
I remember when you shared these stories from coming back from a training or something, I'd be like, how does she come up with a visual so easily? But it is actually easier than I thought.
Yeah, and not everybody does, so that's just another thing that it is sometimes just a felt sense in the body.
Right.
But everyone I've done this with has always got something.
Because I kind of thought, gee, you've got a good imagination.
Yeah, it comes.
But it does
it's
come.
just slowing down and going into the body and connecting with the felt sense of the body. Okay. So it's probably time to sort of start wrapping up, and you're really welcome to get in touch with either of us if you've got any questions about today or comments. And Meg's got some special offerings from her company.
Yes. So I know that you're doing personal consultations with people.
Yeah. So if anybody would like, I personally find it really helpful to go through this process with a guide or a support person. If you want to go through this process with me online, you're really welcome to. And I've got a link which I'll put into the chat box, and it'll also come out in an email. You're really welcome to book in for a session with me to go through this process or any other process. Basically, my work is all around compassion and kindness, because that's been my big kind of breakthrough in life. I basically just realised my vision is a compassionate world. If we could all just start being a bit kinder to each other,
that'd be nice.
The environmental problems would be solved. The world would be a much happier, safer place to be. And it starts with your relationship with yourself. Basically, how much the research has shown now, like Brene Brown's work, the shame and empathy researcher, that you can only love another person as much as you love yourself. So if you haven't got the motivation to love yourself more, think about someone that you dearly love and think, would I like to love them fully?
Yeah.
And realizing that you really only can love them as much as you love yourself. So
yeah, that
does
was
that make you want to love yourself
it does.
more?
That's what motivated me originally, was
Yeah.
so that I could be a better parent for women.
Yeah. So,
but I was just thinking as
yeah.
you were talking, so for all the participants in this webinar, I want to give a free ebook for some of my like juicy self-nurturing tips. That's a good one.
So we can send that out in the email to everyone. There's 35
Yeah.
people, I think, who registered for today.
And then, but then when someone books in a session with you, I want to give like a voucher for them to spend at Evoe's website, so they can really get some tangible self-nurturing.
Yeah, because that's another technique we've used, because a lot of it also is learning to be able to look in the mirror,
yeah,
you know, with love and kindness, rather than, oh my God, look at this. And so that's been my practice with Meg's products from Evoe Ethical Skincare, is when I put the cream on my face in the morning, to be able to look in the mirror and practice love and kindness rather than criticism. So you're giving...
I'll do a good voucher for the people that book in for a session with you like by Monday. Once, if they book in, they get a $40 voucher from Evoe.
So a $40 voucher.
You'll be able to get like a whole product, a couple of products.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then for everyone who's registered for the webinar today.
Yeah, we'll do the self-nurture ebook.
The self-nurture ebook.
Because that'll be easy to do digitally.
We'll send that out.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we just want to say thank you for joining us. This was our first ever webinar. And
we've sat here on this couch quite a lot, though.
A lot. And
this is not our first time on
a lot of tears have been shed on this couch.
Oh my God.
Haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we're kind of qualified to share some of how we've dealt with our life crises.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to share the compassion lounge with everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. So we just want to say so much gratitude for listening to this webinar today. I hope that you got something out of the inner critic process. It certainly has been transformational, really, for both Meg and I. And I still remember very clearly that 3 years ago saying to you, you wouldn't talk to me this way. The way that Megan was talking to herself, I just said, you wouldn't talk to me this way. And that was when we realised, oh yeah, why do we talk to ourselves when we don't talk to our friends like that? So
you totally called me on that. It was a game changer. Like that was a really big turning point to go, oh my God, I wouldn't talk to you like that.
No. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
for
everyone.
joining us. Lots of love.